that the Earth is a globe, and I would call it logical deduction, but we'll call it assumption for the sake of this conversation. All right. So, and you tell me, and after I do this, I want you to tell me how many things you can explain by with the Earth being flat. 1, shadow and lunar eclipses. We also have solar eclipses. Belts over the horizon, an obstruction of other objects. Typical distance to the horizon is what the globe predicts, roughly 5 miles if you're standing 6 foot. Star trails, pole stars, 24-hour sun and north and south poles. Difference in weight at the equator versus poles. Different stars in different hemispheres. Let's see here. P wave and S wave propagation from earthquakes is congruent with the globe. Core shadow times and travel time through a spherical Earth. You can use geometry with the stars and Earth to prove the globe. This is the history of nautical navigation. Let's see. Let me give you a couple of the other best ones. Qantas nonstop flight from Santiago.
And NASA claiming, all right, so
Go ahead.
the sun comes in parallel, right? Always, right?
It's not perfectly parallel because the sun is so big, right? There's most of it's parallel, but the portions of light that are reaching us from the top and bottom of the sun are not parallel. It's just like 99% of the light is parallel.
Until the solar alien eclipse happens, and then all of a sudden they're coming in on angles.
No, there's just a tiny bit.
That's what NASA says. That's
tiny
what NASA
bit of
says.
fraction.
Oh, now it's. Dude, they say the sun's coming on angles.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
All of a sudden. Well, that's their freaking. Their shit.
I don't know if Ruhef has a better answer, but that's
what you've seen the sun. You should literally watch the moon's not even there, dude, and then all of a sudden they're like the moon's covering the freaking sun, right? Isn't that what they say happened? But the moon's not even in the sky because it's like the new moon when the freaking eclipses happen. Isn't that true?
It couldn't be the new moon. It had to be the dark moon, or whatever you want to call it, whatever that phase is.
Isn't that when eclipses are happening? When the new moon's there, which means no moon.
New moon is no moon.
I mean, you can't. You know what? You can't even say because you're not up there. You can't prove it either way. So I shouldn't say, "Oh, that's definitely not the moon that's covering the sun," because I'm not up there. But I don't know how you could say for sure that you think it is, because like the solar alien eclipse, the whole angles thing is kind of weird. Like they're always like, "Oh, everything comes in parallel, 93 mil," except the solar alien eclipse happens. Then all of a sudden.
Well, hold up though.
Angles. That's what they explain it.
Hold up. If the Earth is a globe, then the horizon points down in each direction. So I don't really understand how that's a problem. Because it's not.
Water's flat. Do you believe that 70% of our realm is water? Gotta believe it's flat. Water doesn't conform to the outside of freaking objects, especially if they're moving or spinning. My lord. I don't even know how I think that could happen. I mean, and if there was a freaking force that like somehow pulled things to it, like it would be pulling all the freaking moisture from the freaking clouds too, dude. It'd be yanking them out, Just crazy to me that anybody would think that gravity's freaking like, it can pull all that water to the freaking surface of a sphere, but
you didn't answer my question though.
Oh, which one? I'm sorry.
So can you name more than one phenomenon that we witness on Earth that can be described by the flat Earth?
Horizon's flat. Can't have a freaking horizon sphere.
Okay, so
not a bendy one.
That's one. That's one.
Water's flat. Level. We use it.
Wouldn't that go along with the first? Wouldn't that go along with the?
That's why we use levels. That's why we got levels: water levels, spirit levels, all that shit.
Wouldn't that go along with the first one though?
Huh?
Wouldn't that basically be the same as the
horizons?
Yeah.
Horizons are flat. Yeah.
Yeah, so that goes
Can't
along the
really
first
have
one.
a
So
can't really have a horizon or sphere.
well, I
Spheres
don't
are
understand why you couldn't have a horizon on a sphere, but regardless, so let's just say I give you that. You've only explained one thing using
well, the
flat.
what, dude, the water, dude. All right, put it this way: when you see a wet tennis ball thrown, water flies off it. Somehow, you guys think that it magically starts adhering
Well,
or
because there's no
pulling
gravity.
itself to things. Okay, but that doesn't happen when I throw a wet tennis ball. Why isn't it happening then? It's
Because
flying off and out.
yes, because the
So only
gravity.
when it gets really big. When it gets to
Yes,
be how big? What about if I throw a ball that's 10,000 feet wide? Is it going to kind of stick to that, or is it still going to fling off? If I threw a big 10,000 foot wide tennis ball with water on it, would it
I
fly
haven't.
off and out as it spins, or would it
Uh,
start to stick kind of because it got kind of big, but not 20,000 miles wide big?
well, it
I
depends
don't
on
know,
the
dude. This is the kind of shit I think
density of
about. I
it.
mean, does that kind of make sense? What I'm kind of saying? Like
No,
why does it fly off all of a sudden? When things get 20,000 miles wide, they're
I
too big
mean,
to prove that water sticks to it.
I mean,
I don't
don't
know,
please
dude.
don't take
It's
this as
awfully
being
convenient.
rude, but at like at like a sixth grade level of thinking, you got to think a little bit beyond that. Don't take this as
Dude,
being rude, but you just
that's
you gotta
fine.
think.
That's fine.
I can show you an example of water sticking to a large rotating sphere. Hold on just a second.
Here,
Let's see
these
here.
are the ones I just put in, right?
Huh?
Oh, nothing. I was just talking. Buddy. Not here. Not. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you water sticking to a large sphere. Let's
Is it
see.
moving?
It
Not that
is
it has
moving.
to, but
It is moving.
it's adhering to the surface on all sides. Really?
Yeah. Hold on
How
a
cool
second.
is that? And that's
Pretty
in a
cool.
freaking scientific freaking experiment, or like a example, or some kind of a recreation, physical. Is that happening in nature,
Yeah, here you
or
go.
is it
Hold on, I'm gonna share it.
example?
You want to look at my screen?
Uh, all right,
Let's
sure.
see. Hold up. Let me share screens here. Let's go ahead. Let's see here.
Something.
Come on.
Show me something.
Let's see. Share your screen. Start broadcasting. Three, two, one. Okay.
Pumpkin pie. Calm down.
Okay. So here we go. This right here is water sticking to the outside of a sphere, rotating. You see that glistening? See that? Let me see if I can find this other example. Here's another one right here. There's another one. This is the one that I was thinking of in my mind. So there you go. Three examples. Hey, watch this. Watch this for a second. Keep watching this for a second.
It's moist, dude. It's moist. It's not like a freaking. Dude, you can never get like a quarter inch. Wait, there's one in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm
Find it.
I wonder if anybody remembers this Flat Earth
Like,
channel.
look, it's moist. It's moist,
Exactly.
dude. It's moist. It's not, dude. There's like certain, what is that called? Surface tension. I can't even, like, say the
Let's
scientific
see. Oh,
thing
I
it's
wish.
called, but your hands get wet too. Water's kind of I
Yeah,
don't know
but
what that's called.
it's not spinning. It's not sticking. It's not spinning. How are my subscriptions at? I wish somebody could remember this channel. It's called Joe. I think his name is Joe Slays, and he has these really great like short clips of really good examples of how it's impossible for the Earth to be. Uh, where the hell are my subscriptions at? I wish somebody could remember this channel. It's called Joe. I think his name is Joe Slays, and he has these really great like short clips of really good examples of how it's impossible for the Earth to be flat. Let's see. Maybe it's Jose Blaze. Damn it! What is this guy's name? Subscriptions. No, it starts with a J. Let's see here. Shit. Better still be subscribed to this channel. So there. The thing that you're on, which is the aircraft carrier. So it's the exact same with Earth. You're stationary in reference to Earth. So a plane moving off of Earth's surface, if there's it's just overwhelming. It really is. It's absolutely mind-numbingly overwhelming. And even
Yeah,
before,
Walter Beaslin's got the little slider. He just has it slider, but you just like slide it on up to match anything, any long distance observations. He's got that slider button. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Scammy
I will,
scammer.
I will tell you, like, before I became an engineer, like I started looking into a lot of this stuff, and actually had some very similar questions to you guys. One of the questions I posted on a forum was, okay, so if space is a vacuum, if I had a straw big enough and it went all the way up into space, would it suck the atmosphere out? That was a question I posted on a forum. And I got the answer. Well, no, that's a totally different scenario. You're talking about Earth scale phenomenon, and a vacuum is nothing, so it can't suck it out. Vacuums, the way they function is in terms of push, right? Things get pushed into vacuums. Vacuums don't pull things in. Another one I had was, if there's a plane traveling east or with the direction of the Earth rotation, and it takes off, and would that plane land faster than one going against the Earth's rotation? And I got my answer. Well, the answer is no. Just like on a helicopter carrier, if you drive a car on a helicopter carrier in one direction, it's additive to the, like, let's just say that it's going 20 miles per hour, and you drive a car 20 miles per hour towards east on the aircraft carrier. So you're going to be going 20 miles per hour in reference to the thing that you're on, which is the aircraft carrier. If you go in the other direction, you're still going 20 miles an hour in reference to the thing that you're on, which is the aircraft carrier. So it's the exact same with Earth. You're stationary in reference to Earth. So a plane moving off of Earth's surface is in reference to Earth's surface. It's identical to the example of the aircraft carrier. It's like it couldn't be a better example in my mind. And I also will tell you, like, I did some calculations about some guy was on here talking about, well, we're spinning through space, we're rotating around the center of the galaxy, we're rotating around the sun, we're rotating 24 hours a day, blah 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 blah. And I added these up, and it totaled to 0.03, or maybe it was 0.3, like 67 meters per second squared. That's the total acceleration you would feel, which is just an absolutely minuscule amount. But dude, does that not seem a little damning to you that like flat Earth can't explain more than one observation? And you can still be special with flat Earth. I mean, we live in the Goldilocks zone. We're the only life known in the universe. So we're still special if you want to think of it as God built this planet for us. You can still take that position and believe that the Earth is a sphere. There's no reason to make it a dome. I mean that seems like such a weak design for a God. I would expect a God to create a grand design, something that humans would not think of. And a petri dish, or a circular disc with a dome on the top, is like the simplest form of a world. Like that's what we put. Like that's a petri dish. Like that's the simplest version of a home. Like I would think God would have a little bit more imagination than that. He would want grand. You would expect grand design from God, and you guys want to take all that glory from God and say, "Well, no, it's just a petri dish, it's just a circle with a dome on top." And there's so many misnomers like this in flat Earth, like the ISS being in space. Well, space in the stratosphere, it's still in the stratosphere. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong if it's a different name, but the stratosphere is what, 600-700 degrees or 1,000 degrees or something. How could the metal survive in the stratosphere if it's 1,000 degrees? I mean, it's a very, very simple understanding if you understand physics. Like, so heat is transferred through molecular collisions, and if I stick my hand in a pot of boiling water, there's gazillions of atoms imparting energy into my hand, heating it up. If I stick my hand in the oven, there's millions of particles colliding into my hand, exchanging heat, warming it up. Now, if you put it in the stratosphere, there's one or two atoms exchanging heat with the ISS. It's not complicated. You just gotta look into the science of it, and it perfectly makes sense. I've never seen one legitimate criticism of the globe Earth model. Like I'm being completely honest. I'm not being facetious. I've never seen one that seemed legitimate to me. And how about this? I would like an answer for this. How come? How can the sun set on a flat Earth? Right? If we're thinking about it in terms of perspective, you would expect it to disappear into a point. Well, we don't see that. We see it set. It doesn't disappear into a point. I mean that to me is like one of the most damning things for flat Earth. And I've heard people say, "Oh, I've seen pictures of it disappearing. I've seen pictures of it disappearing into the sky." Well, I sure haven't. That's not something that happens regularly. It's not something hardly anybody's ever seen in their life. I think it's a trick of the camera. I don't believe that really happens in real life. I think that's just somebody's doctored video. Then there's another one with people showing like quarters on the edge of a table. They'll put the camera up to the edge of a table. They'll get so close and they'll slide a quarter down to the end of the table, and it'll disappear. Well, that's because they have the lens situated just a little below what would be level with the table. Right? If I did that with my real eyes, and I got down at the level of the table and I looked at the quarter perfectly straight on with the table, that wouldn't happen. That's an artifact of a camera. Jubil, they were claiming earlier that you said that a 1930s theodolite is the best theodolite. It's better than a modern day one. Is that true?
Well, the theodolite that was initially designed in about 1930 and was in production until about 1985, which basically unchanged, has not been surpassed in its accuracy.
Really?
It reads down to about a quarter second native reading, quarter arc second, and that's nearly impossible to find in the commercial market with the new electronic guns. The new electronic guns, you know, do good, but only as good, and they're lighter, cheaper.
Huh. There are some. They're just more expensive.
Well, it's time value of money. I don't know. Mine was made in about 1955, and it was very expensive then. Not too expensive now because they're heavy. You have a lot of, they're not as easy to use, and they're not electronic. So it doesn't do a data recording. You got to write everything down. So it's commercially, it's hard to operate, but it's still, equal to the precision. The precision has not been surpassed.
Interesting.
Then somebody brought up, oh, well, what about a T4? That would be even better. Well, a T4 is even better, specifically for astronomy, astronomic geodesy, but it went out of production also a very long time ago. And those are still going for a lot of money on the secondary markets.
How much? Do you know?
No, I've seen prices of 100,000, but if
What?
it's oh yeah, because and also condition. So these things they've been out of production for a while. So if there's no such thing as spare parts or repair parts, it's but
Wow.
I'll show you I'll show you the picture of the instrument I have, and I think you'll get a good idea. You'll get a good idea what I'm talking about.
Okay.
My favorite. This is my favorite instrument, and it's like the all-time. It's the goat.
It's a goat.
It's the goat. So you tell me. It's a lifetime part. I mean,
Oh wow. Looks like a nice piece.
in 1980, I think that cost 10 grand.
That's wild.
And if you had the latest production run, which again, 1980, 1985 or something, and had it right next to that one, you wouldn't even care which one you used. They have no wear characteristic.
Wow.
And when that came out in, again, 1930 or so, it retired all the previous theodolites. I mean, that was like the iPhone.
Yeah, the amount of precision in machinery we've been able to do for such a long time. I forget when the original gauge blocks came out. I'm sure you're familiar with what a gauge block is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I can't remember what year they came out with, but I know it was a long time ago. And they're just absurdly precise to the point where they're not even sure, other than to say molecular adhesion. Like they're so smooth they'll stick together.
Oh, the ringing of the blocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
See
Now what?
now this instrument here is what the one I just showed you called a Wild T3. This is what was its immediate predecessor, and these like disappeared overnight.
Wow.
And the T3 is better. These are that black and white photo. Those are metal engine divided protractors, and you see what look like those two little arms sticking out right above the disc. Those are actually micrometer reading microscopes. That thing was a bear.
Oh, really?
That's a bear. Tough to use, tough to move around, but it got the job done. The T3 is a fraction of that size, weight, and operation, and it just swept through the industry.
How much does this piece weigh of yours that you posted?
About 18 or 20 pounds.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It's a two-hander.
You know,
And
I've been. Go ahead.
I was just going to find another picture because I have another instrument that I use as often, and I'm trying to find it. Stand by.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's going to be the next version of the final experiment. We had the behind the curve, which was huge. We had the TFE, which was huge, and hopefully there'll be a documentary made into it. And it's actually going to be made by a flat earther, which is going to be really interesting. At least that's what's being said. He's the one who documented it via Will Duffy. But like, I'm trying to think of what's next. What could possibly happen next between flat
Well,
earthers?
I think we learned something from TFE. It doesn't matter what you show them. It doesn't. There is no evidence that'll satisfy. I mean, if they're crying about, show me a video. You get a video. You get multiple videos. You get 360 videos. You 28 frames per second for 25 hours, and that's not good enough. So they want a video, get a video, hate a video.
I know, and those are for the hardcore folks. But there has been a lot of people leaving the community. Like, Will Duffy named probably 6, 7, 8, and he said there's many more. Jaronism, and watching the debates between Will Duffy, and he debated Flatzoid, and he debated the other guy, the guy that got banned from schools because he was yelling flat Earth nonsense at him.
Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson. So those debates were so funny. Those are probably the most brutal debates I've ever seen.
Well,
Because
well, you've heard it right here, right? The 24-hour sun, was amplified by everybody. All the flat earthers that I heard, doesn't happen, cannot happen.
yeah,
Of course, then Duffy realized, unless we drag their ass down there, there's no way to retrieve information. So he did just that, and it was highly documented. Okay, so now they're saying, oh, I hear this backpedal. They said, oh yeah, we knew that there'd be a 24-hour sun down there, because Lady Blunt had something. Yeah, we knew that. So there are no surprises. I go, then why did you say it does not and cannot? But now you're saying you knew for all along, because that Lady Blunt article came out 1890 something, contemporary with Robotham, and in that document, Lady Blunt says the 24-hour sun, and we don't know why. Although they didn't read that part, I don't. So it just goes to show there's nothing you can do. They said, oh, points of light in the sky don't matter to our feet. Well, they were all about the sextant proving
yeah.
the flat Earth. That's points of light in the sky. They were all about the 24-hour sun in the Arctic. That's proving flat. That's proving flat Earth. Okay, so now we have points of light in the sky in the south. Oh, that doesn't matter.
Yep.
So no, there's no hope. That's where Jaron.
But it's dwindling away.
Jaron, in my opinion, was amongst the worst of the bunch, and he has come to Jesus. And because I watched like none of his content, but I would see the clips and people talking about it. So just before he went down, I watched a couple of his Friday nights, and he had thought it through, and he still said, I don't, he still was pretty convinced it was going to set, but he thought it through, and he's like presented both sides. Well,
Yep.
you look through his last couple of weeks. He is, he's out there photographing or recording the SpaceX launches from Vandenberg, and he says he's 75 miles away, and he records it, takes the video from on site and his video, and synchronizes them. He goes, "Okay, it just took off. It just launched. I can't see it for another minute and 5 seconds when it's at 25,000 feet. That's when it comes over my horizon at 25,000 feet. I'm 75 miles away. How is that, guys?" So yeah, he's 100%.
Yeah, he's going crazy. I watched a few of his streams after TFE. And he had like a model on his computer. I think he paid $30 for it, and it showed basically everything. It was
He thought it through. He thought it through, and he was there. And he goes, "It's not just the 24-hour sun. going in a circle overhead. He made the trek. He logged the miles. He saw the direction he went.
Yeah.
And then, one of the genius things he did, it was just, he did a genius move. He brought a 4-inch magnifying glass and burnt paper. There's a simplicity to that and a subtlety to that, which I thought was, yeah, he had thought it through. He brought the magnifying glass.
I don't get that. The fake is that to debunk a fake sun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like I can burn the sun when it's burn the paper from the sun when it's in the north. Do it when it's in the south. I can do it when I'm at home. Everybody can do that everywhere, right? It's the sun. Now, if it's a reflection, it's not going to have that kind of thing. If it's an LED thing, it's not going to have that. It was just one of because they were saying, what if it's a fake sun? What if it's an artificial sun? And it's like, well, that was an acid test for it being the same sun, and he photographed sunspots. And he goes, that's the same sun, and there's only one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I put up a picture of a second instrument I have, which is very similar. So when I make measurements to the sun, talking about those parallel rays, I use the edge of the sun. So I'm not even concerned about the direction of rays, because I'm not measuring shadows. The only time you worry about those parallel rays is when you're talking about, the shadows. Well, I don't use the shadows. I use the edge of the sun, because the sun's so fucking big, it's hard to find the center. So I just use the edge of the sun. And that instrument there, 1 arc second, that's the 1969 instrument.
Interesting. But I still am interested, though. I know that, of course, there's going to be a lot of people who deny this, but I do think as a whole, it's going to have a very negative effect on flat Earth. As in,
It's moved the needle. It's moved the needle. And it's caused a schism, at least.
Definitely. And I'm curious as to what the next thing could be. And the only thing I can think of is something to do with light, measuring the gradients of temperature that cause refraction, and doing some kind of live refraction analysis, something like that. Because I don't know where else we would go from this.
I don't know, but they're always stuck on the observer standing on a beach looking at the horizon. Well, in geodesy, we don't use the horizon, the ocean horizon, for anything.
That makes sense.
The only people who are dependent on the ocean horizon is using a marine sextant in a marine environment. Because even if I was on the beach and I had a sextant, I still wouldn't use the ocean horizon. I would use a reflecting pool.
A reflecting pool? What's a reflecting pool on the ocean?
Well, yeah, a dish of water, or a dish of motor oil, and reflecting the sun into the fluid, and measuring the angle, and then you eliminate a lot of problems and improve your precision.
Oh, that's clever.
By a factor of 2.
Oh, that's very clever.
Also, if you're looking at if you're at the beach, pardon me, and you're looking at the sun, and trying to use the ocean horizon, quite often, what if the sun's rising and it's over terrain? Well, you can't use it then. Well, you can with what's called the artificial horizon, a reflecting pool, reflection off a fluid, the fluid being level because of hydrostatic equilibrium.
Yeah, that's clever. I've never heard of that. It makes perfect sense, though.
And that's how they got to the South Pole in 1920. Is they used sextants and a small dish of I guess they had to use alcohol. They quite often the fluid of choice is mercury, except in Antarctica mercury freezes.
Oh, I've got a good idea for a TFE version 2. Nautical navigation with flat earthers and globe earthers.
Oh, yeah, that would be I've often thought, it'd be fun to get into a charter boat, get out, a couple hundred miles away from anything, and well, particularly a couple hundred miles away from Hawaii, like you head off at night and you have everybody downstairs, and then so they don't know what direction they went. They say, "Okay, guys, get home."
Yeah,
Here's the
I
sextant.
mean,
I'm
I mean,
curious, how far offshore do you think you could get before the Coast Guard came and stopped you?
From Hawaii?
Yeah, from anywhere. Have you ever tried it? Have you ever actually gotten in a boat and sailed out 50 miles outside of the shore?
yeah,
Probably not.
yeah, I have.
Yeah, if you go
Yeah.
outside of
What are you on about?
if you go outside of designated lanes, the Coast Guard will come and stop you.
No, the Coast Guard protects within the radius that's considered the territory of the U.S. After that, they don't patrol.
No, they don't protect. They stop people from going to certain places.
I didn't experience that.
Well, because you probably didn't go try to explore.
Off the coast of Hawaii, or the coast of the coast of California, or Florida.
Man, they're everywhere. It's called the Coast Guard. Why do you think it's called the Coast Guard? Wherever there's coast, they're guarding.
So if you're motoring on out, they will approach you because you're going too far.
Try it.
Do you have any evidence for this?
Wow. That's the first I've ever heard of it, ever. And I've talked to a lot of boaters.
Me too.
I myself am not a boater, I admit.
One thing
because I'm sure there's a lot of boaters who just go and explore. They don't. Boaters just go out and fish in designated areas.
No, they explore to find new fishing grounds.
Was that a no with a high pitch? Was that like a no with a question?
No, it was no. They go exploring to find.
Yeah, that's not how you said it.
Okay. Well, it's a no, but because they go and they try and find new fishing areas. So they don't just stick to the one spot. They go wherever they want to find the fish. I mean, there's an area outside of, I think North Carolina maybe, that's like a few hundred square miles that's off limits, but other than that, it's like a national ocean reserve, kind of like a national forest. But
National Ocean Reserve. What a joke.
what do you mean, what a joke? Do you have a problem with
Yeah,
Yosemite?
that's a joke.
Do you have a problem with Yosemite? Or national
Yosemite? National parks?
Yeah.
You think that they're there to preserve the wildlife?
Well, yeah, that's the whole point of not allowing fishing or man's intervention.
Who told you that?
The government.
Television. Oh, the government. Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
I mean, do you not believe Yosemite's real?
Who said anything about it being real?
Well, you just said you didn't believe it. I mean, if there is natural wildlife reserves on land in the United States, then why would you not think there's national ocean
Listen,
reserves?
you're under the assumption that these things are there to protect the wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why would you think that?
Like I said, because we have national parks.
Yeah, because the government told you that's what they're there for.
Yes.
So basically, you just operate on authority. Someone comes on the television and they say, "This is how it is," and then you turn around and repeat, "This is how it is."
No, I read about this.
Oh, you read about it. Oh, okay. Because books are where stuff is, right?
That is where most of the knowledge is kept correct.
Oh yeah, is it? Oh yeah, it's kept in books.
I mean, do you not believe in Yosemite?
Is that why you learn so much in school, right? Because there's books.
Definitely.
Is that why when people get out of high school, they're well prepared for the world, right? Because of the books.
No, not high school.
Oh, oh,
You
oh,
go to
oh.
college.
Well, there's books in high school, right? Oh, I see. So you have to go pay to see the books with the real information. I got you.
Well,
That makes total
in the
sense.
U.S., in almost every other country. Well, I mean, you can order the books or find the books online if you want for free.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just got to go buy them, right? You got to pay for the
No,
information.
you can
Yeah,
get them
I mean,
for
that
free.
makes total sense, right? That all the information would be behind a paywall.
No, you can get them for free,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh, really? You got to pirate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can pirate it, right? Or it's behind a paywall, right? So the information is basically restricted, is what you're saying.
Well,
That's
I mean,
interesting. All this
it,
truth, all the real world information is behind a paywall.
no,
How is
not
that
all the.
possible?
That's a total red herring. Not all the
Oh, we're
information
not
is
fishing.
paywall. There's tons of libraries. You can go to any library that's free.
Really? And
Some,
what do you got in there? What kind of information can you get in those books? Do those teach you about the world?
of course they do. There's plenty that teach you about
Really?
the. Yeah.
So they tell you that the earth is constructed of dead bodies and there's a dome over us. No, they
No.
don't. Oh, okay. See, so there is no information there. Gotcha.
What? Have you ever seen a dome?
It's above us. What do you think is up there?
It's above us.
Nothing.
Well, it's kind of interesting that we can't see more than typically 5 miles, but we can see hundreds of miles up. That's a little unusual to me.
Who said? How do you know what's up there?
I'm not
You
saying
think
it.
there's nothing, right? Hundreds of miles, so you're assuming there's nothing up there, right?
I'm not saying anything other than there's a problem with your model, and
I
that
don't have
we
a
can.
model.
Okay, well, there's a
Who
problem
said
with
anything about a model?
there's
Do
a
you think
problem
there's a
with
dome? Do you think there's a dome up there?
Oh, clearly there's some kind of reflective surface up there. It's very clear
What?
that there is.
That sounds like a model.
No, it's not a model. It's so I see the way dish networks work, right? I understand how the satellite receives the signal that's bounced off of the reflective surface up there. So I understand reality. I don't have a model. Models are boring unless they're wearing something nice.
The reality is that dish TV is bounced off the dome and not coming from the geosynchronous satellite.
Yeah, so if you especially so in North America, the farther south you go, the farther up the dishes are tilted.
Yeah.
To aim at the equatorial geosynchronous satellites.
No, so the signal is being bounced up in one point, and all the receivers are pointing to that one point.
And that's reality, huh?
Yeah, that is reality. Like you can
Oh.
think that there's some kind of thing flying up there, but that's just silly.
Well, you can see them. You don't
You
believe
can
your
see
eyes?
them. You can see them.
them. You can see
You
them.
can
You
see
don't believe your eyes?
lights. You can see lights in the sky, just like the stars. You can see lights.
Yes. Do you know anything that produces light that's not physical?
I don't know anything about the world. What are you talking about?
Oh my God! Give me a break. You
I
don't know anything
don't.
about the world.
No, I don't. I don't claim to know things. See, I'm simply observing. That's
Well,
it.
you claim to know that dish TV is reflected off some surface, but you said just now you don't claim to know things, but you seem to
I
know
know
that.
you're
Yeah,
speaking up
because there's a
outside your mouth.
story.
I did.
That's right. Because there's a story that say that people are sending little like metal boxes up there with dishes on them, and then they're flying above us in circles, sending signals down. That's like the silliest clown show shit I've ever heard. So the only actual thing that makes sense is that it's being reflected off of a reflective surface. See, I go with logic and reason and what makes sense, not what people say.
Yeah, you don't know what the dome is. You don't know what it's made of. You don't know if it can reflect signals.
Well, actually, it seems to be reflecting surface or signals, so it is reflective. What it's made out of actually seems to be a dead body. How they got it reflective, I have no idea.
what the dome is made of is a dead body.
Well, actually, everything is made out of dead bodies. There's nothing that isn't a dead body.
What? Dude, you're out there.
And actually, I'm on Earth. You're out there.
No, I think you're in Mars. I think you're phoning in from Mars.
Yeah, see, so you think that there's a place called Mars, so you're the one that's out there.
Well, I can see it.
Dur, 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 dur.
Yeah, how dare me see something and believe it's real?
I mean, you see a light in the sky, and then you think it's something because someone on the television or something told you. Or you read it in a book and you saw a cartoon.
No, my dad had a telescope. We used to look through the telescope and we'd look at things.
Oh, you saw the light closer. Oh, I see.
Hmm. It's round. It has crescent shapes.
Wait. How does a physical object have crescent shapes?
How's it what?
How does a physical object have crescent shapes? How does
Depending,
a physical object change shape?
it doesn't change shape. It has a crescent of light on it.
A crescent of light. Yeah, how's it doing that?
I could hold on. I'll show you. I built a model of this.
A model.
Yeah, reflecting sunlight off the moon is not going to be in his wheelhouse.
Reflecting sunlight off the moon. What? That's some wacky sounding shit. Reflecting sunlight off of the moon. What? Show me anything other than a mirror or the surface of water reflecting the sunlight. So basically what you're saying is the moon is a mirror or water. Brilliant.
I like how they want you to be the dumb one when all they do is just listen to ideas they've adopted and pretty much just fall like a house of cards on whatever they project onto you.
I mean, it's all a clown show.
Yeah, I know. I'm a drama pedagogue, so I know all the fake acting. I can sniff it out. It's like, I'm so intelligent because I know how to regurgitate what I was imprinted in school, and that's the truth. Whether I have personal experience or not, I trust Big Daddy with big word.
It's even better when they pay for it.
No, I was going to say, why do you assume we don't have personal experience?
It's pretty clear in the way you just speak and part yourself.
Yeah, let me ask you, Shoe Bill, what was the last thing you figured out?
GPS signals?
No. I said figure out.
I'm not really sure how to couch that.
Yeah, okay. So you don't understand what figure out means. I guess that makes sense because you can't figure things out.
The actuality that they don't even know how to think is pondering. Like it's really sad, and that we have to actually argue how to come to knowledge, how to know things. I get what you're saying without that you can't know in a sense, but still, the very fact that they have adopted a way of thinking that's a taught form just shows the upheld dogma that they use to sort of try and jail sell you into their religion. The religion of, I've adopted this idea of cosmology and cosmology, or however I pronounce that. And microcosm, macrocosm, this is the universe, and you're to faithfully adopt this belief too without any knowledge, just by hearsay. Imagine using so much time to keep coming into a forums and walking everywhere, shoving one's beliefs as actual truths, as actual reality, time and time again, and not even know that they're beliefs. Now, who's the one or the party that doesn't know? It's pretty clear to me.
Well, see, it is kind of strange too, right? Like, what kind of mentality do you have? Okay, so you know the truth, right? The glober, but you continually go to places like this where you're basically outnumbered by a bunch of people who, from your point of view, can't understand and is basically a nincompoop. Like, why even
Nincompoop.
continue to go back to these places? I mean, it's literally like it's literally like it's like a straight man going to a gay bar and then trying to tell all the gay guys to stop being gay. Like, what?
Okay.
Yeah, really. So I mean, it's a weird, like, what's like your head has to be very strange in order for you to continually come back and try to convince people who aren't going to be convinced by you to listen to what you're saying.
Oh, there's plenty that have been convinced. I've got a list of about 10 people.
No, I doubt it. I doubt it.
You doubt it. Okay,
Yeah,
let's see
highly.
here. Let's see here. Ranty, Jose J. Gonzalez.
Oh my God! All these people are
Raichi,
clowns. They're clowns.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
yeah, the
listing
ones that have
clowns.
switched are clowns. Okay.
Yeah, they are. I know
Yeah.
Jose JG. He's a clown. The only thing he's doing it for is money. That's the only reason they
He's
go
not
back, because
making
they
any
realize.
money.
Because here's the thing: because they realize that the truth doesn't make you anything, but lies make you all kinds of money.
He's not making any money. What are you talking about?
Oh,
He doesn't.
really? Really, he's not. How do you know? Do you have his bank account?
He doesn't
Are you his
have.
wife? Are you his wife? You must be.
What means of production of money does he have related to the Earth being a globe?
The only way to make money is by believing the Earth is a globe.
So you're broke.
I don't make money. Money is for slaves.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of people on here who believe in the flat Earth that make money.
Well, sure, because they're still in the globalist system. They don't know how to get rid of it. They're
Are you
actually probably still all addicted to drugs too.
Are you homeless?
Nope.
How do you pay for things?
The whole place is my home. This whole world is my home.
How do you pay for things? But I was going to show you this model I built. It was very simple, and you can actually just do this in real life.
Is it wearing a bikini?
Keep using the Lego models and your blueprints that you got from the Lego store. Doesn't help you understand reality. Just makes you very good at putting pieces together.
Is the model wearing a bikini?
Yes, this one's wearing a bikini. I challenge you.
I don't believe you.
I challenge you to look at it. Okay.
No, I don't believe you. Your voice indicates to me that you would lie more than you would tell the truth.
Oh my God! Whatever.
I can hear that you're a liar. You are clearly a liar.
Okay.
Yeah, you can hear it. You don't think you can.
Yes.
See, people don't realize that people can hear it when they lie, but most people aren't
You're-
paying attention because they
you're
only
the
listen to the
first-
words and not the
you're
way
the-
they say it.
First person on here who's ever told me that.
Well, of course,
I'm
no one else will
second.
call you out because no one else will call out liars because they're afraid.
Oh, bullshit.
Dude,
not
trust
bullshit.
me. If
On
there
the
were more moderators if there were
internet?
more moderators in here, they would be screaming, "Don't call him a liar."
On the internet, you think
Yeah, on the
people won't
internet.
call people internets or idiots?
Idiots. I'm talking about
Zen-
liars.
So Zenak, not see
It's like
here.
it's like calling someone a liar is more offensive or whatever than saying they're an idiot. Like you can't call someone a liar even if they're a liar.
Well, you're not engaging in
Engaging in what?
you're being disingenuous in your
You're trying to present
in your
models
debating.
for something. We're not debating.
You can see this in real life, my dude. You can go in your living room, get a basketball or get a ball, get a flashlight. You can see the exact same thing. Okay, it's not that complicated.
I'm still. I thought you were going to show me light reflecting off of something that wasn't a mirror or water. That's what I was actually waiting for.
Light reflecting on something that's not a mirror or water. Are you joking?
Right.
I can shine a flashlight on my wall and it gets reflected.
No, it doesn't get reflected. I don't
Well,
think
what
you
is-
understand what
what-
reflect means. Reflect.
What happens? What diffused?
Basically, yeah, it's being diffused. Words are
Okay.
important. You agree, right? You can't just go around calling. I mean, I can call you a woman, I guess, if words aren't important.
Well, no, I think it is. I don't know if I agree with that distinction. I believe it is being reflected, but it's also being diffused. It's both.
No, you can't have both.
Why can't you have both?
Man, do I have to explain definitions to you? Like, it's really, do we have to go into words what they mean?
Define reflection.
Why don't you just look it up?
Okay, I'll look it up.
Because he's adopted the latest addition within the educational system is that we can't know words, and you can have a personal interpretation and definition, and sure you can you can create a new definition, but it has to sort of be passed through a board in a sense.
So
But at the same time, words at their base supposedly doesn't mean anything anymore because we didn't mark things for the property and technology and tool of marking things.
So reflection definition: the throwing back by a body or surface of light, heat, or sound without absorbing it.
Right, the throwing back. So when you diffuse something, there's a level of absorption. See, this is this is the most difficult part
That's not
about
what this
talking
said.
with a lot of people, right? Because at the very end it said without absorption, did it not? At the definition, reflect without absorption.
Yeah, without diffusion
Right.
doesn't.
So,
diffusion doesn't mean it's absorbing it.
Yes, it does. That's the act of diffusing. You're absorbing some of the light so that the light is not as bright as it was before. The act of diffusing.
No.
Oh man. Like this, see this, it's so difficult to talk to people who just think that they know what they're talking about.
I'm looking up the definition of diffusion.
So you have to educate yourself just to have a conversation with me.
No, I'm proving you wrong.
It's impossible. No, you're not. Without absorption.
The spreading of something more widely. The action of spreading light from a light source evenly so as to reduce glare and harsh shadows. It says nothing about absorption. Neither of them say something about absorption.
The definition you read, reflecting, what did it say at the very end? Without absorbing.
Yes, without absorbing.
Man.
This one,
right.
This one says nothing about absorbing. So it doesn't. So you get it? Diffusion, the action or spreading of light from a light source evenly so as to reduce glare and harsh shadows. It says nothing about being absorbed.
Spread out over a large area, not concentrated. Yeah, so it's absorbed.
No, it's not absorbed.
Yeah, it really. See,
Scattered.
it's really so.
scattered.
Really, you're just trying to pick and choose so that you can be right because you don't want to accept that you are wrong.
What that? What?
And see, this is the thing, right? So it's
What do
difficult
you?
to have conversations with people who think they know what they're talking about.
I'm just reading definitions. What definition source would you like?
Can you show me water or light reflecting off of a surface that's not a mirror or water?
Yes, my car windshield.
And actually, it doesn't reflect either. That also absorbs because the light goes through it.
It passes through it. I don't know if it would. You could say. Well, you could probably say that absorbs it, but yeah, none of the diffusion definitions I'm looking at. And like I said, if you have one that you'd like me to look up a specific source for diffusion's definition, I'll gladly look that up. But none of the ones I'm seeing say anything about absorption. It just says scattering. You're not seemingly understanding the difference between scattering and being absorbed. And I just used your own definitions to prove you wrong. And if I was sharing my screen and I was going to show you this real world.
Now, do you actually think that you proved me wrong? I guess in your head you do because you think you're right. I mean, so regardless of what is ever said to you, you're always going to think you're right.
No,
So I mean, because you
pride
think you live on a
myself.
ball, right? You think you live on a ball, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, you think you're right without actually knowing anything. You're
No.
impossible to have a conversation with because you don't know anything.
Well, I know quite a lot. I know 2 + 2
No,
is 2.
you think you
2
know
+ 2 is
stuff.
4.
That's made up. I mean, someone made that up for you and you just repeat it. Those are just words. In grade school, someone taught you words and you can repeat them. That's all you can do.
No, you can do a hell of a lot more than repeat them. You can use them in the most sophisticated models on the planet. They're used in applied science to build the device that you're using, to build the home that you're living in, to build the
No, you
screen
don't
that you're
actually.
looking at, to build
Actually,
the
you don't.
floor, to build the floor you're walking
So
on.
I know a bunch of Mexicans who built houses and none of them use math.
Oh, bullshit. They use a measuring tape.
I said math. Measuring is not math, man. What are you talking
Dude,
about?
what are you talking
Holding a
about?
measuring tape is not math.
If you have to cut a piece of wood to
Man, you
fit
really just don't know
between,
shit. Holy
if you
fuck,
have
man.
to use a measuring tape to cut a piece of wood between the header and the floorboard, you're gonna have to use math, my guy. The piece of
No,
wood
you
is
don't.
not an exact fit. You're gonna have to determine the length of wood that you're gonna cut off, which would be a subtraction, which would be math.
You
I think you
see,
need to
clearly
do
you've never
math.
constructed a house.
Subtraction isn't math.
I don't think you need math to build a house. I think you could
How?
just transpose the angles, and then you take like lengths, and then you just take a length of string, for example, and you just stretch it out. That's your length that you need to cut the timber. You can add lengths together by using extra lengths of string.
That's
That's
not,
all a
See, like I
measuring
said,
tape is.
like I
that's
said
not how.
previously, 50.
That's not
So
how
like I
it's
said
done,
previously,
though.
50, you're just a liar. That's all it is.
That's not how it's
I just
done.
like. I don't think 1 + 1 constitutes math. I don't know.
What? You don't think
1 + 1 equaling 2 is not like I don't know. Do you really think that's math?
Yes, that's the most basic math there is on the planet.
I don't know, man.
How are you? Are you literally arguing 1 + 1 = 2 is not math?
You're literally
I
just
don't know.
saying
They're not. It's like
words.
they're numbers. I don't know. I feel like math is more like the whole arithmetic and
That's
trigonometry and stuff. That's the.
so addition
It's like
is.
like saying 1 + 1 is math. It's kind of like saying that if I say ooga booga, like I'm speaking English. It's kind of like that.
You
It's like
can't.
there's just words coming out my mouth, right? Like 1
Yeah.
plus 1. Okay, I guess it's a coherent statement, but it's not really
Yeah.
math.
Yeah, it has no meaning. 1 plus 1 has no meaning.
I could say I have 1 apple plus another apple. I just got more apples.
Well, yeah, and you can quantify that by saying you have 2 apples.
No. I'm just having some fun.
And you could this model that I'm talking about that I built, I was trying to share my screen, will show you exactly Risky. I'll tell you what, you look at my screen for a second. Hopefully somebody else will as well. And it's a really simple model. I'm gonna start broadcasting. 3,
Well,
2.
I don't think I want to look at this, man. I'm kind of
Oh.
wandering around doing other stuff. I haven't got time to sit down. Apologies, I'm sort of just jumping in for the conversation.
Okay.
I don't know if you've got something overarching that you're conversing with or about, I should say. I don't know what it is. I just piped up about the math thing. I was just thinking about it. It's like
You're the first person. You two.
you can go back to being grilled by not see.
Now,
The
Rick,
first people I've ever heard.
if I started broadcasting a model in a bikini, would you stop and watch that real quick?
I mean, no, not really.
Okay, just checking.
I had to think.
Just seeing what you really got time for. Sorry.
Oh man. Oh yeah. No, fuck that.
So,
Like the internet flashes like a girl in a bikini at you, and you catch yourself watching like, what is this trash? You skim past it. It always catches your eye.
I mean, you can't help it, right?
Sure.
Titties will always catch your eye if you're a straight man.
Oh, fuckers.
Sure.
Anyway.
So, Mr. What is it? No see, no hear, whatever it is. No, not see, not see, hearsay. I challenge you to take a look at my screen. Okay. I'm gonna broadcast for just a second.
Really, you're just wasting your time. Don't do it.
You're not gonna look at it?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So you don't care to learn or have a conversation about learning. I get it.
I don't entertain models. Models
Like
are
I
boring.
said-
Like I said, unless they're in a bikini.
It's not really a model. It's a representation of reality.
I mean, I can just look to reality. If you need a
Okay.
model to help you with your reality, that's great. I
can't show you that right now though because the camera it's too dim in here.
That's what I was going
now I have a
to say
question.
earlier. It's not repetition, BB. It's a representation. The terminology is called mimesis. So they go to school to learn how to represent what is real and learn that reality is not something that you can know. And so they dissociate themselves and now only can see reality and attempt to figure it out through their thought forms of models and representational tools.
I would personally love for a new model. I think that's exciting. And
models.
Yeah, I mean that. Like I said, I want you point to any modern convenience that you have, and explain to me how it was built without models.
How it was built without models?
Yeah.
But that's the point, dude. You've come to learn to love learning supposedly what is real and getting sticker points for being intelligent if you are able to point to the right model. It's a kid sitting with a cubicle with a squared, little wooden box, and on each side you have a circle, a triangle, or something, a shape. And then you have these small wooden pieces that's painted in a color to represent each input, and you put it in, and then you feel really good, as if this modeling is really nice, And then the next step up is that you get a huge, cool looking Lego toy, and then you build it and you
put it together and you feel really proud and you put it in your shelf and it's a spaceship and you unconsciously worship a religion. And I'll stop there.
I mean, this is the most
like leave some
asinine
dignity on the table for
conversation.
you guys.
What?
I'm asking them to leave some dignity on the table.
Yeah, really.
I think they're coming after you there.
This is
So
the most.
he's not wrong. Like, these are models, and I don't think you should be necessarily be toting them around on the end of a stick. Sort of, this is how it works, you know.
Well, I mean, if you could explain to me how applied science works in a different way, I'd love to hear it.
What did
But
you say? Like, point to something in your room. I mean,
yeah, point something in your
a
room.
wheel, like a circle, like a piece of timber cut into a wheel.
No, modern.
No.
Modern.
So, like, are you saying that the wheel, like, say, the aluminum casting of the wheel, had a model or something?
You said wood first, but yeah, if you're talking about aluminum wheel, of course it had modeling done to it. They had to model the steels, the composition of steels. They had to determine their structure. They did finite analysis, which is a form of modeling to determine strength characteristics.
There's no disputing, right? This idea of modeling is very, it's a powerful technique. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's what gave us the modern world.
It can be misused and misplaced, though, and I think that's what I would sort of be stretching for at that point, and be sort of suggesting that, I mean, they've got social models. They never really seem to work out very well. You know, there's a whole bunch of other things that are going on there, man. I don't think you can just take this notion that models work in science, and if we look around us, we've got all this advanced technology, and then just because that works like it does, I mean, to then extrapolate that and impose that into your worldview and how one should live their life and all the rest of it, I'm not sure. It's very powerful, though, so I recognize why people sort of they praise it.
Well, it's very powerful if you're dissociated and need a hand to hold into, you know, when you're walking into the unknown because you don't know anymore and you need guidance.
Well, I mean, every state had a model citizen. You know, if we take the idea of casting and the idea of what a human being is, like being quite plastic, like or plasticity, you know, the way that we can behave in many ways. And then they've got this idea of a model citizen that they want to impose upon that sort of malleable child as they grow up. So, you know, which is why in the educational theory, every word used is a type of molding. To mold the child, form the child, shape the child, fill the child as an empty vessel, you know, filled with the soul. Plant the child, and yeah, those words is what is going to be throughout. I'm trying to work out where I would specifically put the pin in, though, right? Like, I recognize the power of models and the capabilities for the technology and modernity in that case, but I mean, it can be misappropriated is where I'm guessing I'm sticking to that. And just to say that you can sort of create a model of the sky and, you know, a model of the earth, I don't know if you should necessarily be jumping to those conclusions that it necessarily works because you can model it.
Well, it could be a nice representation and an artistic artwork, but whether the art is the actual reality and just not simply something you created in reality, that's the very distinction that most are lost with. Because they stand now looking as in a museum, looking at artworks and thinking that everything is real. It's not the artwork itself, but what's in the artwork. So it is like a complete reversal of the actual lived reality with the representation and the fiction inside it. Although even it can attempt to display reality as the model, the artwork showing, you know, reality as a door or a portal sort of to to someone's experience, it's still simply a shape with a lot of things put into it, and it has been given hue and color, and it's made of toxic material or oil or something, and it doesn't get more real than that. And there's experience used to form an image.
So if you have such problem with models, why don't you live in like a mud hut?
It's not that I have problems with models. I don't think BB has too, although he muted himself. I don't think the case is the specifically issues with models, because models are a great tool and a technology to represent ideas. The issue comes when the psychological imprint of dissociating what's real and replacing it with a model becomes a necessity for a person in order to cope with the lived experience of being alive.
Like, just one of those phrases that I popped into my mind while you were describing it, right, is, what was it, that NASA and the astronauts, and when they run missions or whatnot, the modeling and the simulation is so similar to the outcome of the actual mission itself that they can't detect the difference between it. So the simulation is the model. I get why that model is useful, because it preps them for the expected, things that they're going to have to deal with in reality. But the thing is, and apparently they can't tell the difference between it. And this is what we're actually suggesting, is like, when you're looking at this model or whatever you wanted to show on the computer, is like, you're essentially looking at the simulation still.
And that's the very big problem you just mentioned there, which is to create a model, to create expectation that already shapes the view into a very tunneled vision. And so one is awaiting the experience of the model instead of actually going unbiased into a situation and learning more of what the actuality is. Because if you have the model, the natural state of curious interpretation that could go way beyond and deeper than the shallow surface of a looked at model and adherence to it, that is completely gone in and through the interpretational framework, because obviously it is in its very essence an interpretational framework, which is why it's called a conceptual framework, because it's envisioned, meaning seen as prior, anteceding to the actuality. And just repeating that and reconfirming the bias of the anteceding vision, that's not building knowledge. That's just dogmatic, circular reconfirmation to the original idea. And the cat now is stuck inside the box because it's not able to look outside it. Or even be outside it.
If you talk to any engineer or scientist, they'll tell you that one of the most exciting things is not knowing or finding a flaw in the model.
Of course, because that's the default position that they have to take psychologically after all this imprinting.
Let him speak though, man.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know what would make you say that you have to take this position. There's a lot of people that don't take that position.
Well, maybe. Sorry, go on.
There's a lot of scientists who have worked on things their whole lives, and they don't want to give up on their model because that would throw away their life's work, kind of. So there's a lot of that in deep academia, but for a lot of people like me, I mean, that's the exciting part, is finding out something you don't know.
Well, that's great, and finding out what you don't know, I think that's exciting for everyone, because if you learn something new, and well, at least I think it should be exciting to figure things in a real sense and not to adhere to a model. But you see, everyone in this room and supposedly everyone who comes in here to show their worldview says that, oh, you need to believe in this expert. And at the same time now, you just said that the expert has a difficult time with departing with their model. And I'm going to say that's because it has now become sort of, you know how a child has this stereotypical idea of a child with a napkin or like a towel that they use like a replacement tool to cope with because the nipple isn't available, like a soothing thing, just like how you would use a pacifier. The model becomes a pacifier and a safe haven or ground to their worldview. And so you see, without the model, the scientist comes into existential angst. So the scientist is justified through their call it indoctrination or not, but whatever it is, through their bias developed through experience, it becomes a safe haven for how to interpret reality. But it's still interpretation, yeah? And then they perform to the role of their, role of scientist to the idea of the model, which is their worldview, the lens, the tool, sort of the new glasses. And that's also what they have to do through law to the role that they have adopted, which is the ethics of the role, which is the code of conduct, meaning the means of how they are shaped to perform in accordance with the education that they have sanctified. Which is why when you become a doctor, if you do one day, you have a role and you need to learn the ethics behind the role in accordance with people you meet coming into your office, etc. So the model is great, but it's not the real world. It's an interpretive tool.
Yeah, and I think most scientists would agree with you.
Yes, and let's talk about those that don't agree. Why do they disagree? Why do you think that is? Are you one of them?
No, I haven't really met one that thinks that way. I'm sure there are some, but
You think a flat earther is a person who disagrees?
but they're not a scientist.
Well, so who's the disagreeing party then? Can you name it? Are you able to know it? Put it into the view?
The disagreeing party in reference to science not being the full model.
But do you not hear the argument that the model can't explain the real world, which you just, it can attempt to explain the real world, and it can only do explaining and making descriptions. But whether it can create a perfected envisioning of the real world, it's very difficult, because how can a word only do anything more than represent like a water flowing, let's say if you are to explain the reality of a river flowing down in the valley, the words are only a concept and an idea that words what the river is supposedly doing. Whether that is the actuality of things, that's a whole nother level. And this is actually very fundamental knowledge. And so to imagine that the concept is the answer is the prison of science. And any good scientist knows this. And this is also the argument of the flat earthers. You don't need to be on their side. You don't need to adopt their critique of the main model. You just have to see that they're asking for a better model to use to interpret reality, because the model that they've come to use or learn in the school, they feel is flawed. And so when you keep shoving down the model, which they think is flawed, which they have a rightful justification as feeling is flawed, you become a preacher. And you become what is really antithetical to science.
A teacher?
Yeah. So
A teacher.
No, he said a
antithetical to science.
preacher. A preacher.
Oh, preacher.
Yeah,
I
like
think
a
it was
religious
as
zealot.
A teacher. Like
I mean, a religious zealot would also think they are a teacher.
Well, I mean, I can definitely teach you things that you can go out in the real world and apply.
Yes,
No, I
we know.
guarantee I can't learn anything from you.
You
We can
could
already read
if you
50.
made an attempt to.
50, we can already read in the way, in your conduct, in your tone, in the words you use, the sentences you part, and the whole configuration of the subtext too. We can hear the mission of why you're here. And you see, only a preacher has a mission. This is why this forum doesn't work for the intended cause, which is, it's not about preaching one's truth. It's about learning together what one can know and not. The actual reality, not this idea, not this, well, then stop
I'm with you there.
Then stop coming with concepts that you can't even know yourself, you say.
I can know myself. I learned all these myself in engineering school.
Okay, let me ask you this. From my monologue, to just call it that, what did you actually hear me say? Could I be respected to get a brief recount of what I, whether you call it exhaustively or not? I used my time attempting to explain you something very difficult. What did you actually get from that?
I have a hard time following you. Basically, the
Okay.
models aren't a true representation of reality.
Okay, great. So you have a hard time following me, but you got the main gist. Why do you think you have a hard time following what I said?
Well, because you meander a lot.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you said. Could you repeat it?
He said
you meander a lot back and forth.
Which you don't.
Okay, so I meander. Okay, BB Wolf, when I was talking, do you have the same sensation that he is putting forth here, that I was meandering?
No.
Okay, what did you hear me say? Could you please respectfully attempt to recount my words? Or what the gist of what you heard and what they meant to you, or something like that?
Well, the gist is that he doesn't know anything.